Welcome to Recap Our Studio.
Welcome, subscribe, like and relax. The following film is based on a true story. The family was having a good time while taking a photo, but their adopted black boy could only observe from a distance. The woman asked the boy to join them despite the man's protests. Surprised, the boy took a careful position behind the family. The boy was now living in a warm house for the first time. Mike was his name. Although he weighed 300 pounds, he had a 6 IQ. His drug-addicted mother was unable to support him financially because his real father had died when he was a young child. He had been placed in numerous foster homes in a short period of time, and on this day, the foster parents are squabbling over him. Without a place to call home, Mike was left to wander the streets, eating leftovers when he was hungry and visiting the school gym when he was sleeping. Mike knew it was time to move on at this time. He was shivering from the cold as he was walking in the dark, rainy night. The moment Eddie's family saw Mike's hurt back and realized she was trying to catch up with him, she turned her car around to do so. "You mentioned that the school's gym was closed." She took Mike to spend the night at her place. Mike was shocked when she showed up at Eddie's residence. When she returned to her room, he had never seen such a large home or slept on such a plush couch, and she was really terrified that he would take anything. However, the next day, she froze and realized that Mike had not touched anything. She hurried to catch up with him before he could get too far since it was Thanksgiving and he had folded the quilt beautifully before he left. And while the family was eating and watching the game, she prepared a lot of food. While Mike ate silently by himself in the corner, he only took a little amount of the green veggies and bread. She found it extremely difficult to accept this. She then intentionally had everyone hold hands for the lunchtime prayer while turning off the TV and setting the table with all the food. As the youngsters raised their hands to him, the man froze. And in the evening, he experienced home warmth for the first time. Mike was then questioned, "Do you want to remain here?" Mike finally had the guts to say, "I don't want to travel anyplace," after giving it some thought. She grinned when she heard this. The next day for Mike, she created a space. "Is this for me?" Mike exclaimed in amazement. She responded by affirming that it was Miles' room. Like when it was said that 16-year-old Mike had never slept on a bed before and his heart was pounding within, he froze. Okay, moving on. After careful consideration she came to a conclusion. She called the whole family together and questioned Mike about joining this family. Mike shivered. He answered joyfully while turning to face the kids who were grinning at him. As a result, Mike received a new car as well as his very own house. His brother was so ecstatic that he requested Mike to accompany him so he could purchase a rugby game ticket. However, there was a collision on road. When a truck crossed the road directly in front of the brother and his brother's automobile, Mike was too late to dodge it and slammed into it. His mother showed up at the location. His siblings suffered no harm at all. The cops were perplexed as well. Normally, it is quite hazardous for a little kid to run into an airbag, but fortunately for her brother, nothing occurred. But when she caught a glimpse of Mike's arm, she realized that it was Michael who had frantically attempted to protect his brother at the time of the collision. When danger threatened his family, this youngster she had just adopted was now battling the odds to keep them safe, and she was deeply moved. Friends asked her whether she was concerned that her daughter, who was so beautiful, had adopted a tall black guy to sleep in the same home after hearing that a white family had adopted a black man. Hearing a response to this, she was concerned. "Would you feel uneasy if Mike lived in our home?" He questioned her daughter when she arrived home. She was surprised to hear her kid say, "I would love it." She learned that the tall, muscular man had a kind heart, which helped her overcome her prejudice. When she saw this, she offered to sit with him and study with him. She grinned slyly. Again, even after repeated lessons from the huge, good-hearted youngster sending in blank papers at the beginning, the instructor didn't give up on him. Even if none of them are excellent, he has finished all of his seasons. In one psychological exam, Mike came out on top in the category of protection. He will fight tooth and nail to defend people who are important to him, just as he did to defend his brother in the event of the disaster. And the rugby game fits this trade well. So, his father made arrangements for Mike to join the school's rugby squad, but he had no idea what was going on. He wasn't even paying attention, and he was either carrying them or flinging them off. The coach was furious. Annie had a thought at that point. She advised Mike that this squad is his family and that he should treat them as such. "Me and my brother are the ones in this picture. What if someone intended to harm my brother and I?" The coach was very taken aback by this effort. However, as soon as the whistle blew, a miracle occurred, as Mike was blocked, rushed, and immediately in control of the field. However, the white man across the field was full of amenities and was constantly calling Mike derogatory names, which made Mike lose concentration and even kick the ball with his foot. The coach yelled in rage. "Coach, I saw your white player give the black player a nasty head kick and refer to them as niggers." Mike Northcoast resisted the coach's irate advance as he tried to argue. The game started as soon as he burst, and he immediately seized the white guy who had kicked him and started to leap backwards like a gorilla. Until the whistle sounded and the white guy was shoved off of the field, the whole audience laughed. "The white man is well battered when you next see him." Mike commanded the court once again, inspiring his squad to victory. As soon as Mike became well known, his brother burned a video of the game onto a CD and sent it to the best colleges. These schools began calling with tempting offers to have Mike play on their football teams, but Mike's family preferred that he enroll at the University of Mississippi, which was their alma mater. Mike was glad to comply. A College Athletic Association (CAA) investigator then approached Mike and asked him if he wanted to attend Ole Miss or if his adoptive parents had forced him to do so. She suspected that the family had adopted Mike because of his athletic ability and wanted him to make both his alma mater and his adoptive parents proud. All that had been positive seemed to have altered as Mike became quiet upon hearing this. He didn't wait for me to clarify, he just raced to me and asked her if that was the case. Mike became upset and fled. He went back to the slums where he had lived since he had experienced far too many lies over the years. The punks were aware that Mike had been adopted after seeing him laugh with his sister. When they told him to stop, the punk really flashed a gun and started insulting everyone. This infuriated Mike, and he went on the offensive and severely beat the punks. Mike came to the realization that Annie's family was now who he most wanted to defend. He initially spoke to his mother, Michael, over the phone when he phoned me, and he assured Mike that she accepted his preferences and that the family would always be there for him, regardless of the college he ultimately picked. Mike addressed the investigator the next day and strongly said that he was the one who wanted to go Ole Miss since that was where his family attended college. On the first day of school, his mother repeatedly nags him to be safe in college, stating that he couldn't fight back the tears as she got back in the vehicle. He then taps on the car window and tells his mother, "You should give me a genuine embrace," as the family gathered to say goodbye. The real-life Michael O'Hare is the inspiration for the character Michael in the movie. When the movie was released in 2009, he was the most potential emerging star after receiving his university degree. The Baltimore Ravens selected Michael, and he led the whole squad to Super Bowl 47. Subsequently led the Panthers to the 2015 Super Bowl. Become a generational legend. He has remained the family member that is still closest to them. Mike was a black youngster who was fortunate enough to be adopted by a white family and go on to have a successful life, according to some. Mike did really get fortunate. But the compassion he didn't lose was his greatest blessing. Maybe none of us can be as fortunate as Mike, but we can all choose to be good people.